Embrace life as a political independent. That particular kernel of advice coming from an unlikely source. Former Biden White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, who at just 4.5 months out of the White House seems to be distancing herself from her former boss. And now she's announcing that she has switched her political affiliation to independent. That announcement comes Wednesday alongside a promotion for her new tell-all book titled Independent, a look inside a broken White House outside the party lines.
Chronicles the 3 weeks leading to President Biden's decision to drop out of the race and the alleged party betrayal that led to his decision. Here she was back in February speaking about that alleged betrayal.
There was a disconnect for me. What was happening with leadership in the Democratic Party and how it was truly, as my former colleague, communications director Ben LeBolt said, it was a firing squad, and I had never seen anything like it before.
In a promotional release, the book's publisher said that KJP, quote, didn't come to her decision to be an independent lightly. She is also quoted as saying, the danger we face as a country requires freeing ourselves of boxes. We need to be willing to exercise the ability to think creatively and plan strategically. We need to be clear-eyed and questioning rather than blindly loyal and obedient as we may have been in the past.
You're reading her quote in a Trump voice?
Was that a Trump voice?
Some on the left, though, seeing it as something of a betrayal by the former senior staffer. Journalist and author of the newsletter Public Notice, Aaron Rupar, responding to the news of the book on Wednesday, posting on X, quote, it's sad that Biden stuck with Karine Jean-Pierre for all those years, despite the fact that she was not great at her job, only for her to turn around and write a book about why she left the Democratic Party and is now an independent.
Meanwhile, Scott Jennings on CNN Wednesday echoed what many conservatives are saying, and I bet I'm going to agree with it. Take this book with a grain of salt. Listen.
I mean, I think the things we've learned in the last 2 years is that the two least credible sources of information in this world are the Gaza Health Ministry and Karine Jean-Pierre. And when she puts this book out, every single person who reads it, reviews it, or discusses it needs to remember that virtually everything she said about what was going on behind the scenes in the White House was an outright lie. And so when she puts a book out, I think we ought to treat it from a source that has a proven track record of lying from the podium of the White House to the American people.
Yes, that is correct. I think Karine Jean-Pierre is, well, I don't like her, and I don't think anybody else does at this point.
I do.
You like her?
Yeah.
Oh, well, let me
I'll
do
be the
my
one.
whole invective. No, I think she was not very good at her job. That's not just my opinion, right? That's the opinion of Democrats now. I love people becoming independents. I'm an independent. That's wonderful. This is not a true conversion to independence. This is an opportunistic move. She wants to disassociate herself to some degree with the administration that everyone hates, and that she is one of the leading figures involved in manufacturing, protecting, defending the cover-up. I don't think she was ever very good on the podium, but it goes well beyond that. She has no credibility. Again, that's not just coming from me. Alex Thompson of the Original Sin book has some new reporting out that I was following last night and this morning. This is on X. He writes that her colleagues, KJP's colleagues, call her one of the most ineffectual and unprepared people I've ever worked with. The amount of time spent coddling her was astronomical compared to our attention on actual matters of substance. Many have quietly fumed for years. Again, I'm not reading from some conservative person. This is Alex Thompson. Jean-Pierre had caused internal drama. She was untouchable because of her close relationship with Anthony Bernal, who's the Jill Biden figure who is very reviled in the Original Sin book. All right, go ahead now.
The job of a press secretary is to provide press with information that is discussed amongst, well, like Carolyn Levitt, you know, they just does the same thing. She says what's best for Trump, always. And then if it changes, she says that it changed because their team told her that it changed. That's the job of a press secretary. Now, I'm going to say first saw the headline, saw the news come up on the TV, and I'm like, oh man, this is another money grab, another book.
It is. That's exactly
That's what I thought. But then I went back and watched her interview
right
on The View in March of this year. And she actually said a lot of things that are in line with her new decision. And so she said, I want to look at the Republican Party and ask you, are you comfortable with a government that skips over Congress constantly and a president that does that and going to have blind allegiance and not make the proper changes to put the country first. And then I want to ask Democrats, who are you? Who are we fighting for? And are we meeting this moment that we complained about of Trump with a sense of urgency? And if the answer to both questions is not satisfactory, then you have not found yourself in either of the parties. And I think that there's a strong argument that most Americans do not lie on the fringes of the parties. So I don't think that most Americans are very far left, and I don't think that they are very far right. I think most Americans are center left or center right, and they want to hear real conversations. Polls showed us that most Americans do not think that some of Trump's, what people would describe as childish behaviors, are acceptable, but they didn't think that the option and the alternative was acceptable either, and the way that it was coordinated and pushed forward in that way. And so I think that the American people feel a lot like KJP because they really want to find themselves in the truth and honesty of who represents them. And just like we saw the number of independents in this country rise, I think there's a strong argument for the fact that people are looking somewhere else and not in a two-party system to figure out what's next. And she didn't say she's running for president. She just said, I am an autonomous individual that wants to make my own choices. And I think we should commend that. I actually changed my perspective, and I think that we should commend anybody who allows autonomy of thought.
If Caroline Leavitt knew that Trump had suffered some kind of cognitive catastrophe and was no longer capable or qualified to be the president and didn't tell us, I would be condemning her.
I don't think
I would not want her to write a book. I would not want her to be in public life anymore. The same goes for KJP.
I don't think that she believes that Biden was cognitively in decline. She doesn't believe that. The book is an angry book about how people treated him. She doesn't believe that. So she's being loyal and honest. No, she's just telling you her perspective. That's what she feels. Just like you don't feel that Trump is a little senile.
I don't want to hear anything
You don't think
from her
she doesn't think
again.
that Biden has a cognitive decline, and that's her right to think or not to think. She worked closely with him.
She should write a book then about how Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy are real. Sorry, kids, if any of them are watching, but she's gonna come in for a lot more of a vicious criticism on social media. I think that does it for us today on Rising Live. Look out for more exclusive YouTube content coming your way later today, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel so you never miss any content. And for those of you who like to listen while on the go, we're now available anywhere you can listen to podcasts. Have a good one. See you later.